Brian Keller of Nebraska Wesleyan University, 18th season in Lincoln with the Prairie Wolves, and he's the current chair of the GPAC football coaches. He would have had about a 23-minute meeting this morning, but we did extend it out to about 40, just with some small talk, just to feel good about ourselves. But he said it took him 11 years of planning to get it down to under half an hour, and he did pretty good. So, but in all seriousness, Brian is the dean. He's a great resource for us. The knowledge base, kind of the residual history, if you will, and a pretty good football coach at that. So Brian Keller, Nebraska Wesleyan.
Again, I'd like to thank everyone here today with the media. My special thanks again to Corey and the great leadership that he provides for our conference. And no one's thanked the folks here today for the great meal. I think it was awesome. I don't know if we can coach very well at Wesleyan, but we do always say we can eat very well. So appreciate the great meal today. I'd also like to thank my sports information director, Alex Linden, who is here today and just does a super job with all of our materials. If you're familiar with any of our printed work or anything on the media, you know Alex does a top-notch job. Dick Janda, the voice of the Prairie Wolves, both football and basketball, made the trip today, and appreciate all the support that he provides our program. And I also need to recognize I do have a couple coaches here today. Chip Lang has been our running backs coach now for 12, 13 years now, and has produced some super running backs. And also Coach Kroom, Kevin Kroom, our defensive coordinator, entering his third year, is along today as well. And speaking of defense, if you've been around our league for a while, I think Wesleyan's always been known for a very rugged defense. Certainly last year was no exception. We led the nation against the run last year and did some tremendous things. And so as we look at this year, we do return 8 starters in our defense. The 3 that we lost were pretty good. We lost an All-American and linebacker, Brett Kotzer. We lost a 3-time first-team All-League defensive lineman in Russell Walton, and then Cody Eiler in the secondary. But our whole team wasn't those 3 guys. And I know defensively we are excited about the returners, especially our guys up front. Despite the loss of Walton, Phil Latimer, last year as a sophomore, was named a first-team All-League defensive lineman. And in some respects, we think Phil can develop and end up being maybe a better player than Walton was. We also have 3 other seniors up front in that defensive line that played a lot of football in this conference. And anytime you have some linemen, whether it be offensive linemen or defensive linemen, that experience is irreplaceable. So guys like Taylor Tukolsky and David Jennings and Corey Kundle, along with Phil Latimer, I think again will be very strong up front. At the linebacking core, we do return Spencer Fecht and Brandon Reeves at linebacker, 2 seniors, again, who have played a lot of football for us that will help make up for the loss of Brett Kotzer at that position. And then in the secondary, we're led by both Seth Wardine and Michael Hittner, all conference players for us, and again, a ton of experience. And I think that's kind of the theme of our team this year, is just the amount of experience that we have coming back. Really no question marks. We do have experienced people and experienced backups at all those positions. As we turn to the kicking game, again, that's probably another phase that we've been pretty successful in over the last years. We've been blessed with some great punters and kickers, and this year's no exception. We'll be returning Kelby Vandenberg at punter. Preseason All-American as a punter, one of the top punters in the nation last year, will be back for his senior year. Aaron Lorraine at kicker, was kind of pressing in the kicking duties at the last minute last year. He was a wide receiver. Probably at this point a year ago, got rushed into being a kicker, and by the end of the season was a very reliable kicker for us and one of the tops in the conference. So those 2 guys will be back at the punter-kicker spot. In the return game, we do lose Cody Eiler, one of the best returners we've had in school history. However, Brooks Earhart and Corey Jones are expected to step in. They did return a number of kicks as well last year and been very productive there. So we really don't foresee much of a drop-off in our return game. And then offensively, we return 9 starters. Struggled early in the season last year offensively through the first 3 to 4 games. Made a couple changes. In the last 6 weeks, we played pretty well offensively, did some nice things, and the key, always the key person there is at quarterback. We do have an established person back, Tyler Francis, that did start that last half of the season, went undefeated as a starting quarterback and did some fine things for us. There's a lot of room for improvement, has recognized that, and has worked on those this offseason. So we certainly expect Tyler to have a great junior season and then also next year as a senior as well. In our offensive line, as in the defensive line, we have a ton of experience back. We've got 4 starting seniors back and a junior back, all 5 starters. Those 4 seniors have played a lot of football for us and a lot of starts for us at those positions. Probably our top 2 players there are Ryan Beebe, who was an all-league player at guard, and Jack Berteld is at tackle. Again, both all-league players a year ago for us. At running back, we have a second-team all-league running back, and Dustin Bryant back for his senior year. Nick Level will return at fullback, has been a 2-year starter for us there. At the wide receiver slot position for us, we have Ryan Larson, who I think is really going to develop. Started for us as a freshman last year. I think he's really going to develop and be an outstanding player here in this conference as he goes throughout his career. Connor Davis returns as a wide receiver. Brooks Earhart played slot for us. Caught 30-some balls last year and ran the ball extremely well for us too. And Nolan Clausen will be back at tight end and really progress throughout the season as both a receiver and a blocker, and certainly has the physical presence to do very well. So that's kind of the names, the guys, the people you might be interested in looking at. Again, I think the key thing for us is to play off a little bit of the momentum from the end of the season. It's carried over into the off season, as some of the other coaches have mentioned. This has been a great off season as far as workouts. We have a large number of guys that were able to stay in Lincoln this summer. Probably the hardest working group that I've seen in recent memory in the things that they've done. Will it carry over to Saturdays? You hope so. We still got to go out and compete and win games, but very few question marks, great work ethic, and very hungry, and we are very excited to get this season rolling, and I'm very proud to be the head coach at Nebraska Wesleyan.